Hey everybody, today we are debating intelligent design and we're starting right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thrilled to have you here for another epic debate. Oh, baby, this is going to be a big one, folks. We have a tag team debate, atheists versus Christians, today for our live debate. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, James, and if this is your first time here, consider hitting that subscribe button as we've got a lot more future debates coming up. In fact, if you haven't heard about this, I am stoked about this debate. It's happening this Saturday. Mike Jones from Inspiring Philosophy and Matt Dillahunty will be debating live and in person. So we're going down to Austin, Texas. That's where this is going to take place in the Atheist Experience Studio. No joke. So that's going to be a wild one. They've been so kind to help us out by letting us work with them in terms of getting into their space. So kind of a modern day debate in your house. It's going to be a lot of fun. And by the way, we have other you could say in-person debates for that tour in Texas, including, as you'll see, the smiley, happy TJump on your top left there of the screen. We love Tom. It's like the Brady Bunch. I like wave up at him like, hey, Tom. Okay. Well, anyway, so thanks, Phil can see me from up there, but very excited, folks. It's always fun. Just want to say, all of our guests are linked in the description. I really appreciate these guys, especially Phil. Poor Phil. We came on like a month ago. He was going to have a debate on feminism, and basically if you saw it, it turned into a disaster. So it was only like 15 minutes, and then our other guests had to leave. So, but Phil has been so patient, and we get to have him here for today's debate. So, with that,
we carded everyone before now. So
that's right.
Let him in.
That's right. It was actually, so what happened was Javier was debating and we didn't know. I thought he was like, I don't know, 20 or something, early 20s. But all of a sudden his mom's like, Javier, what are you doing? And he's like, Mom, I'm debating. And I was like,
it's not my fault that young people write like boomers in emails. That is not my fault. So he wrote like a boomer. I thought he was like in his 40s.
Same here. Basically, his mom made him get off. Very embarrassing for everybody. So, but we love you, Javier. If you're out there, sorry about that.
Hang out. We'll talk to you in 3 years.
That's right. So we're stoked. Today's going to be a fun one. What we're going to do is first, I want to let you know, all the speakers have their links in the description. So if you're listening, you're like, I like that. There's plenty more where that came from in those links below, that little description box down there. Also, what we're going to do is, given that our good friends True Empiricism and Otangelo, which are on your right, are going to take the affirmative for intelligent design. They'll basically start, and it'll be like a flexible 10 minutes. Like, they don't have to panic about like having it timed just right. They get to split 10 minutes and make their case. So about like 5 minutes each, and they can defer certain minutes to each other, you know, it's kind of like loose. So if Otangelo wants to speak 8 and True Empiricism speaks 2, like if that's what they want, it's up to them. And then we'll have the same thing from TJump and Phil Bunny, where they will have their 10 minutes to split, followed by open discussion. And that open discussion is kind of like, you know, like sometimes it'll be TJump engaging with True Empiricism, and then maybe it'll be like Phil Bunny will jump in with a point. And so it's kind of like tag team. With that, stoked to have you here, folks. True Empiricism and Otangelo, thanks for being here. And if you guys know who would like to go first, the floor is all yours. Thanks for being here.
Well, I have absolutely no problem going first. I actually prepared a little something, so it probably won't take me that long, maybe like 2-3 minutes. Premise 1, certain patterns are only known to come from an intelligent agent. Premise 2, those patterns are observed inside of the cell. Conclusion, therefore, because those patterns are observed in the cell, the best explanation to hold to is that an intelligent agent was behind them. And I want to note a few things here, specifically from the first premise. When I say only known, the operative word here is known. This is to say I'm appealing to our universal experience as intelligent agents exposed to modern society tend to understand the attributes of other minds. I also want us to understand that I'm operating within the confines of a pool of knowledge as well, which is to mean our uniform experience. So I'm only arguing within our available knowledge rather than trying to make maybe a scientific argument where you are maybe utilizing certain facts to come to a conclusion. Knowledge versus theory. That's pretty much where I'm going to try to keep myself at. That's the argument. That's going to be what my stance is here today. So maybe D'Angelo, he's got something else to say. So that's it.
You got it.
My approach is not
maybe
to provide proofs.
We need you just a little bit louder, Otangelo, if you can.
Is it better now?
Little better, even better? Louder maybe.
Okay. My approach is that we cannot prove if there is a God or there is no God. So the only thing we can do is apply Bayesian probability. That is, we can figure out what makes more sense. And there is a whole series of arguments that we use to comprobate intelligent design, that this starts from cosmology to origin of life, to evolution, to dualism or monism, and so forth. So I think the most strong evidence we see in the origin of life. That is a matter that is in these debates not so much debated as evolution, but in my view, it demonstrates very clearly that life could not come by unguided random events on early Earth. And in special, the origin of the basic building blocks of life is extremely unlikely to occur without guidance. Then the transition from basic building blocks of life to a full-fledged factory, which is a cell, and the genome with the information to build molecular machines, and then a self-replicating cell. There is a huge gap between a prebiotic synthesis and then enzymatic synthesis, which is performed by fully developed cells. And science has no clue how to breach that gap. There is no way to do that. And the problem is twofold. It is one, to get the basic molecules on prebiotic Earth, and then secondly, the information problem. You need to have the genetic code, you need to have the 20 amino acids to make proteins, you need to have information transmission system from the genes to the translation, then to build these amino acids into proteins. This is a whole a chain of information, which there is no evolution. So that would have to occur by random unguided events on early Earth. And we do only know of intelligence being able to come up with codes, with information transmission systems, with computers, and so on. So I think that the origin of life, and when we look inside to molecular biology, we find very strong evidence pointing to the necessity of a designer to bring up all these systems. So my focus and my studies is principally into origin of life.
You bet. Thanks very much. And now we will go over into the atheist side, in which case they're saying that there is no good evidence for intelligent design. The floor is yours, Phil and TJump.
Mr. Jump, do you want to start or do you want me to start? We're so...
Go for it.
Just like a cup. Okay, good. Perfect. Direct orders. I love it. Hi, I'm new to doing this, obviously. My name is Michael, and I'm like what Kent Hovind says is like a 5-year-old child, right? Kent Hovind goes, any 5-year-old child can tell you that a corn didn't make a rhinoceros or whatever dumb thing he actually says, because it's not as interesting as what I just said. And I'm the dumb 5-year-old. I am not a science major. I'm a cartoonist, and I'm a pretty well lifelong atheist. Basically, because when I was in Bible school, they didn't have a pretty good answer for dinosaurs. And I don't know how you tell an 8-year-old boy in the 90s that there's no dinosaurs and then not get them not just to immediately check out for all of it, because that was me checked out. And also I got in trouble for drawing during church, like that would matter, like he cares. The entire concept of an intelligent designer doesn't make any sense. I can go on further. I listened to their points. One of them was like a Pascal's wager. That was interesting, I guess. It was like not quite a Pascal's wager, but it was in there. Then the other one was like, oh man, if a thing happens, then, how could it ever happen? Then it happened. The proof is we're doing this right now. And I'm not doing hard solipsism. That's boring because I can do matrix games all day too. It's very easy. Like, the thing is there's no guy that made us because the heart doesn't make any sense. And wasps are aggressively mean. So whoever made wasps is just not a person you want to be associated with. Wasps and ants in general. If there's a creator that created everything and he is made them in an image of something, it's ants. So I yield my time because I don't want to anger the ants. They don't care about wasting time. They want to put eggs in your eyes so their babies eat your brains out. Sorry. I just get mad at a creator that would ever make ants.
You got it. Thank you very much, Phil, for that opening statement. We will now kick it over to TJump. TJump, good to see you. It's been almost 2 months since you've been here.
Oh, look, an ant. I see some ants over there. Ants are great.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
I like the ants.
Ants are fine.
No,
I will ally with the ants in a second. If they go, you figured it out. Here, we're gonna vomit in your mouth, and this is what you do. I'm in.
That's right.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
All right, so intelligent design. The intelligent design argument is that there's some property, some magical number analysis that we can do that says that things we build have this magical association, which is given some magical number. And that when we look in the cell, there's the same magical number that pops out when you do this magical math thing, but none of that actually works. So the argument is there's some property of objects that we design, and that property is measurable through some mathematical formula, and that mathematical formula can also measure cells, and it has the same number output, essentially. The problem is that's all made up. The mathematical analysis is made up. There's no actually working mathematical analysis that gives us a consistent number that represents design. The ones used by Behe and Dembski and the specified complexity and irreducible complexity, they're all crap. They've all been proven to be false. The mathematics don't work. They conflate Shannon information theory and Kolmogorov information theory, leading to a Berry paradox. We know just factually they just don't work. And there aren't any that do work, which is why it's rejected by the majority of scholars in every relevant field like biology and mathematics and physics and everything. It doesn't exist. So essentially all they've done is said, I know that there's this new mathematical property that I've made up from the system that I've made up that gives me the answer that I want to tell me that there's this thing that exists. That's it. That's all intelligent design is. It's a made up association between what we can do and then giving that a label and then applying the label to something really complicated. We don't know what it does yet. And that's it. So no, there is no intelligent design.
Gotcha. We will jump into the open conversation then. So, gentlemen, the floor is all yours. Very excited to have this.
Awesome.
Okay,
I would clearly say what Tom said is not accurate.
Need you to be a little bit louder.
Yes, we have actually numbers like what would, for example, constitute a minimal cell. And a recent paper which I saw in Nature came up with 350 genes. And I use a paper which came out in 2005, and they come up with 560 proteins, which would be a minimal number to have a functional self-replicating cell. Now we can take that number and make a calculation, and we can take an average size of 400 amino acids and then check what chance would there be that we would get these 560 proteins with the right sequence, which would provide a function to these proteins, and then eventually form into a self-replicating cell. Well, that is just a theoretical number. It is not something real because there is much more complexity involved in that. But if you scramble these 560 proteins, each with 400 amino acids, and at each position of these 400 amino acids, you need to select amongst 20 different amino acids, then you come to a chance of 1 to 10 to the 378,000. And that is such a huge astronomical number, which we can say it's a chance equal to 0. If we compare it to the
No,
number,
because it would be a chance equal to 0 then. I hate to interrupt you, but that would be a chance equal to 0. That's why we have the words chance and equals
Why don't
to
we
0.
simplify it, man?
What he means is that
Also, that sounds really complicated. That's really complicated sounding to me.
Michael, he's just bad at speaking. What he means when he says that there's 0 chances, he means that there's not enough molecules in the universe to accommodate that many. Like the problem of 10, the probability of 1 in 10 to the 300,000 is more than the number of particles in the universe. So it's unlikely that would happen in our universe.
Really quick, guys, let's simplify it then, okay? Because
complicated things don't sound very designed to me, is all.
Well,
theirs are pretty simple.
Let's
and we still screwed those up for decades.
Because there's a couple of things. If you're talking about shannoned information can only reduce uncertainty and give you the probabilistic outcome of those characters over time. It doesn't deal with specific sequences of characters, like ID tries to point out. So the argument that I presented in premises was for a particular reason. The argument specifically by the Intelligent Design website goes like this, if anybody goes and checks it out. Certain patterns of nature are best explained by an intelligent cause because those patterns of nature are best explained, have been observed coming from an intelligent agent. And so if you're dealing with specific sequences of characters like the English alphabet being utilized, the 26-character English alphabet being utilized to write language or books or things like that, that's a property that has only been known to come from an intelligent agent as far as their knowledge goes. Hold on, just really quick. If that is too complicated, there's one particular object. Okay, there's one particular object that I typically point to so that people can understand the causal relationship. ATP synthase. The reason why is because ATP synthase, according to the literature, is a turbine, and turbines are known to come from intelligent agents.
It's
and so it is.
No, we describe it as a turbine, but it's not literally a turbine. We made a turbine. They go, oh, that thing in that cell, though, that looks like a thing that we designed. That's weird.
So you know what it is?
No, we describe it as a turbine. It's not a literal turbine.
But you know what?
Put a little tiny turbine in a cell. But I'd like to get behind this.
Can you explain
how are you defining an intelligent designer? Do you mean like
the parts of it?
Do you mean like a Martian or something that made cells with little turbines inside of the cells? And then he threw those into space? We're not talking about a fourth dimensional space. We're not talking about like Yahweh, right? What are we talking about?
Excuse me, sir.
I'm just trying to get down the parameters of what an intelligent designer is.
I'll deal with that too. I'll deal with that second point, but the first point I want to stand because it's an incorrect statement. It is 100% a verifiable fact that it is a turbine. Not because of an opinion or an assertion, but
because they took it out and there was a tiny little man-made turbine and it said
just to hear the rest from True.
Sorry, I apologize. You're right.
No problem.
Well, the ATP synthase has several different parts. The F portion and the F0 portion of the F1, F0 portion of the ATP synthase. The top portion of the C ring is the rotor. The bottom portion, the alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, 3 alpha, 3 beta, gamma, delta, epsilon is the catalytic core. If you look at each one of those parts of that enzyme, they are the exact same in their features as the basic parts of all the turbines universally. And so that's why when you say that it's not a turbine, it's incorrect.
It's not a turbine because if you like, it functions as a turbine and we describe it as a turbine, but it's not a turbine because
so it looks like a duck, but it's a cow.
Well, okay, but ducks, your analogy is like it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. It's a duck call.
Well, how did you get that from what I said?
Because you're saying a turbine, a turbine as we describe it is a thing.
It doesn't matter how we describe
makes.
It. Who cares?
Then when did they figure out how do we figure out how turbines are made? Did we see that in the cells and go,
cause and effect?
We should do that, but bigger.
Well, let's go back to the argument. Here's how we do it. Here's
Is that how
we
we did that for like Steamboat Willie times?
Well, let's go
You know
back
what
to
I'm
my
talking about?
argument.
Like,
Let's go back to my argument so we can assess
Okay,
it.
cool.
Premise one of my argument was certain patterns in nature are only known to come from an intelligent agent. There's a fact, a universal fact that I'm calling into question. Premise two is those patterns are observed inside of the cell. Therefore, because those patterns are observed inside of the cell, the best explanation is to hold to is that there was an intelligent agent behind it. And I was very careful to point out that I was not making an a scientific argument in the sense where science utilizes facts and then tries to come up to an inductive conclusion based on those facts. And we know that scientific theories in the past have been wrong or right.
Yeah, and they change
all the time.
Then they change to incorporate that wrongness, and then they try to figure out what they did wrong.
Right.
When does the Bible do that? Is that what we're talking about? Because that's why I want to know what we're talking about for intelligent designer, because I don't know what the Vulcans do.
Okay, well,
I mean, I do a little bit. I'm not that much of a
I understand, but
okay, fresh.
Let's stay there. Let's stay there then, because this is important. Intelligent design. If you just go with what the scientists on the ID side say, it doesn't try to argue for the Christian God or any God specifically. They're agnostic.
Then what's the point?
Intelligent design, because it's trying to point out that patterns in nature show fingerprints that were left by a designer.
No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to drill down. So what's the point? Like, is this like seriously like interrupting science as we know it? Like, is this literally a thing that like the entire scientific field is like, oh, we need to figure out this problem with intelligent design? Because like, I get it if God's the end of it, because give me money, God, right? Because I'm a preacher and I want your money. Give me your money. That's why you're a preacher. Right?
There's a lot of misinformation out there online, unfortunately.
I'm just trying to understand the motivation behind this, because I don't know what I'm debating. Like, if I'm debating against aliens, hey man, that could happen. Like, I'm totally okay with the idea that a meteorite had living shit on it and it fell in this planet. I'm cool with that. But I need 1 billion years to even start thinking about making any two cellular, you know what I mean? Like, you need time and luck. And why are we crapping on chaos, man? Chaos is the best. All the time. Sometimes it's the worst and other times it's the best, but it's always just the only thing we can prove actually exists.
That's apparently not. If the premises
order's an illusion, my man.
Let's give the other side a chance to respond.
Fair.
Yeah. If the premises of my arguments are valid, then I think that's what the point is. But I think that we need to be careful, right? Because intelligent design means something specific. If we start bringing in different aspects that intelligent design doesn't bring in, well, then by definition, that's what's called a straw man fallacy, where you're attacking another argument rather than the argument presented. So
the argument presented is
doesn't
remind me of your top.
Let's just let him finish for a second.
I understand that. I never got who the intelligent designer is and why it's not important.
That's
because I still don't. Okay,
I'm trying to explain that to you.
All right.
The point is that the intelligent design doesn't argue for any identity. That's part of the argument. It's only trying to point out that there are patterns in nature that we can trace that to an intelligence being behind it. The identity is up there in the air. We don't need to know that. That's not important. It's unrelated to the intelligent design.
So
when you do that, when you say, well, I want to know the identity.
Well, no, I just don't understand the point. But go on.
Well,
I made my piece. There's nothing you can change my mind on that subject. But okay, so there's
the topic of tonight's, what I'm trying to say is the topic of tonight's debate is intelligent design. So we have to stay in the confines of that debate.
But it doesn't make sense.
Start saying what is.
I would love to get to a different point.
Hold on 1 second. We just want to let's hear him out for a sec.
Sure. Sorry.
I'll end it. All I'm going to try to say is that when you say that, you add premises to the argument and that it becomes a fallacy. So you can go ahead and say whatever you want. I'm done.
All right, let me pick up on that. So to talk about your argument, it is valid, but it's just unsound. So, I mean, you can say A equals B, B equals C, therefore A equals C. That's perfectly valid, but you can say cats are dogs, dogs are chickens, therefore cats are chickens is totally unsound. So your argument that there are some patterns that are recognizable as only being developed by design is false. It's just, there is no pattern. It's like, there are things we know that only come about by design because we've watched people design them and we see no other process that have made them. That's it. There is no actual measurable pattern that can differentiate design from non-design. So it's just, we've seen it being designed by this designer, therefore we know it's designed. The ATP synthase, well, we know the natural process that can produce all of the parts of the ATP synthase. That was purely debunked by many biologists who've talked about this. The guy who who actually was a defendant or in the Kitzmiller versus Dover trial and used it to destroy all this intelligence design nonsense, actually went through and showed this piece by piece for not only the ATP synthase, but also for the bacterial flagellum and all the arguments that Behe and Dembski and the ID people used in that trial, the Kitzmiller versus Dover trial, showed it's complete bullcrap, doesn't work. And it was ruled in a federal court that no, there is no such pattern. It's just bullshit. They just made it up. It doesn't exist. So your first premise is false. What was the second premise? It was something like this pattern is seen in the cells. Well, the first thing is there is no pattern. So the pattern is made up. Yeah. So you see it wherever you want to see it because you just say, that's a blah, 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 because that's essentially what you're saying. You just made up a term, labeled the thing you wanted to term, and then blah, 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 okay, done.
Can I respond? Are you finished with your statement?
No, I'm not.
I was literally going to say the same thing.
Premise 2 is also false because there is nothing is seen in the cell. There's no pattern to see. It's just a made up pattern. You see it wherever you want to see it. And premise 1 is false because we've demonstrated that there is no such pattern. It's made up. That's why in the Kitzmiller versus Dover trial, the federal judge, who was a Christian, ruled this is bullcrap. It's just made up. There is no such pattern. It scientifically does not work in any sense. Go ahead.
Are you done?
Tom,
I'd like to respond if I can, really quick.
Tom, I had recently on Ken Miller, that's the guy which you are talking about, which supposedly debunked intelligent design at the Dover trial. And I did post at his timeline, and I didn't get any ultimate response from him about the evidence that I posted. And I am still waiting for him to give me a reply. And I gave him examples of irreducible complexity, which is the big issue which he tried to debunk at the Dover trial. And I provided him an example of a bacteria. Its name is Mycoplasma mobile. And that bacterium has a motility using just 4 proteins. And if you take away one of these 4 proteins, you have no mobility of that bacterium. And one of the arguments that Ken Miller tried to use as a refutation was that some parts of the flagellum could be co-opted or taken from other functionalities and then inserted them into the flagellum. And
wait, I thought you said he didn't respond to you.
No, he didn't respond. And in case of that
wait, so if he didn't respond, then why are you talking about his response?
Well, I think we need to understand something, that we're getting a bit off topic right here, because if I was mentioning the ATP synthase and TJump you brought up, yep. If I'm talking about the ATP synthase and you're bringing up something that happened at the Dover trial, and we're talking about a scientific argument, everything's being mixed up here, because the type 3 secretory system, as in relation to the bacteria flagella, is not the ATP synthase. The ATP,
I never said it was. So my argument was that Ken Miller.
Hold on a second.
No, I apologize. I'm in the middle of my point. I apologize. I understand what you're saying. I apologize.
Hold on. Well, let me finish my thought, please.
No, please let me.
Hold on. No.
Hold on one second. Wait, is there?
Let me clarify.
Coach. I don't know, Coach.
I don't know what's going on here. It sounded like. Hold on 1 second. Okay, it was so repetitive. I thought that it was like all of a sudden there was an audio loop going on. Okay. So I think that. Hold on 1 second. I've got it. Who is talking? Okay, so we'll go back to Tom just to clarify what he meant on that, and then I promise we'll come right back to you, True Empiricism. That was like.
So
go ahead.
So you're right. The ATP synthase was not mentioned in the Kitzmiller-Dover trial, and I didn't say it was. I said Ken Miller, one of the person who was in the Kitzmiller versus Dover trial, had debunked the ATP synthase separately. He's done videos on that and published papers on that independently of the flagellum, but he also did the flagellum. And the same methodology he used for the flagellum in the Kitzmiller versus Dover trial also applies to the ATP synthase.
He absolutely did not.
It shows doesn't fail. It does actually. I mean, you can take it up with him. He's actually a professor in the field. I mean, he wins in this argument.
Well, I'm sorry. That professor in that field didn't deal with the ATP synthase. He was dealing with the bacteria flagella. I was talking about the ATP synthase.
Did you not hear what I just said? He
hold on a second.
The ATP synthase.
Don't interrupt. I'm trying to, because you just said everything wrong right now. First thing that we need to note here is that the Kitzmiller trial was a court case. The scientific process is not a court case type ruling. But we all need to understand that. The second thing we need to understand is that the ATP synthase is located in the mitochondria. It's a completely different object that's up for debate. Third thing we need to understand is that we're not talking about irreducible complexity. No one mentioned irreducible complexity to you at all. The next thing we need to understand is that the mainstream articles, which were produced by scientists, a few here that I have at my disposal, directly indicates that the ATP synthase is the pattern that you just denied in your statement. You said, well, it's not a pattern, it's not a turbine. That's just something that you're trying to see. That is a demonstrably false statement, not by any sort of ID proponents. That's what the mainstream science says. And so I have a couple of articles here that I would like for us to read into, because you just seem to be just making things up off the top of your head and carrying on with it. So let's get into the
turbines don't grow on things. That's
let's
my
start
point.
with your first claim that Ken Miller didn't address the ATP synthase. Google
I
search.
don't know what Michael just said. What did Michael just say?
Well, I apologize. Let me just, because the first
No, Tom's
said,
got this. Tom is much more credible. He's going to say what I'm going to say. I said a snarky thing, but Tom's going to say what I'm going to say very legitimately. But I'm going to go ahead.
Okay.
But like, you keep saying turbine like someone put a turbine inside of a cell, and that's like silly nonsense.
So the first thing you said was Ken Miller did not address the ATP synthase.
Just an assertion.
Just Google search Ken Miller ATP synthase. The first thing that's going to pop up is Ken Miller's website with his publication, which has been cited 28 times in an academic peer-reviewed journal of him addressing the ATP synthase. So yes, he has.
Yeah, well, if he's got something for the ATP synthase, then let's talk about it. Bring it up. Let's talk about it.
It's the exact same thing for all of the other arguments. Is that
okay? But I want to get into the facts. I don't want you to name drop somebody, then I get into the evidence.
I've already presented the evidence. It's the same thing. There is no such process. There is no pattern that is identifiable as design. It's a made-up pattern. There is no pattern. It doesn't exist. So there cannot be an identifiable.
So here's an article right here. What I want you to do is I'm going to actually show an article from a mainstream journal dealing with the FATPAs. So I'm just not making assertions. What I would like you to do is to get into what Ken Miller said so that you can prove your points rather than asserting what Ken Miller did. So what in Ken Miller's points did he specifically lay out that proves that the patterns don't exist?
All the patterns that have been presented by everyone who's presented them have been demonstrated to be false. So, for example,
what is false? Well, the ATP synthase. Do you know what the ATP synthase does?
ATP synthase isn't a pattern.
We saw Face on Mars. So we saw Face on Mars. Oh, sorry.
Hold on.
The pattern is like where Michael Behe presents a mathematical formula, and he says that this mathematical formula can look at an object, calculate the object, and then come up with a number, and that number is the pattern. The pattern isn't
no one is talking about numbers and patterns.
If you make up the pattern, of course it fits the pattern. It's like the rule of fives. The higher I look into the rule of fives, the more I see the rule of fives. The rule of fives is always true. All numbers derive from or in some say associated with the number 5.
Okay, so here's an actual bioscience.
All numbers.
Here's an actual article. Okay, crystallographic structures of the turbine C ring from spinach, chloroplast, and FATP synthase. So, do you guys want to actually read through an actual scientific article?
Where is the little logo from whoever made the turbine? Is it Yahweh Industries? I'm irritated because look, man, this is a phone. The glass was made somewhere. The battery was made somewhere, and they all have logos of where they were made. So where's the turbine's logo for where the turbine was made? Let me help you guys.
Let me help you understand. Please don't.
I completely understand. I swear. You're going to say the same thing again.
Hold on a second. Here's the point.
What's a turbine? A thing we invented.
Like a flat earther denying reality. Hold on a second.
Oh my God! Yes, it's just like a flat earther demanding proof that the turbine was created by someone.
One second.
It put into organic things that replicate.
Let's hear
Are you kidding me?
Hold on. Let's hear what true empiricism has to say, and then I promise we'll.
This is what I mean by this. Okay, I just need a couple of minutes to explain this because what TJump is doing and Michael is doing is they're either ignorant of the science or they're denying reality, just like I would say a flat earther would do. And here's what I mean by this. What is a turbine? A turbine is an energy utilization system that uses mechanical energy to produce electrical energy. It has certain parts like a rotor, a stator, and so on. The ATP synthase demonstrably has in the C ring where the 10 to 14 different subunits are located, the protein subunits are located, they build the rotor. There is a shaft that protrudes out underneath her that opens up the catalytic core so that adenosine diphosphate can add an additional phosphate, ATP, that's the energy for the cell. And so there's a lot of other things going on in this with the.
Dope. You explain to me how the turbine works.
Michael,
is
please stop. Michael,
not
stop.
actually a turbine.
Michael, stop, please. I'm explaining to you what a turbine is universally, right? And so I'm explaining. Don't interrupt. I'm explaining to you what a turbine is universally. That is a fact of what a turbine is. That object, also the ATP synthase that we're talking about, that is a fact of what those parts are, a physical fact of what those parts are. That's not me saying anything. That's not what.
Okay. I'm not. I just want a question. I have a question.
Wait, hold on 1 second.
I just have a question.
Is it the case that did he answer the first one? Like.
Yeah. Wait for my first point, and then
I swear I understand. If you think I don't understand, you're like crazy. Like
I don't.
I just want to be sure that he was kind of done giving the kind of like his best attempt at a robust answer. Like
I get it. I really do. I really do get it.
So you need to understand that it's not
like, and Tom definitely knows what is being talked about here. That's what's
Michael,
really irritating to me.
Can you calm down, please?
I am calm. I just sound like this all the time.
Hey, empiricism, true empiricism. I'm going to try and rephrase your argument.
Well, the point is this, just really quick. We need to understand this. This what I'm saying here. There's a reason why I didn't use any intelligent design. There's a database of articles out there from the intelligent design website. I'm only using mainstream scientific sources from the biologists in the field. That's the point.
Okay. And
the article that I have here, I would like for us to read through it.
Okay.
And at the same time, the claim that you made about what Ken Miller proved.
Holy crap! Such good content. Reading an article. No, we're not reading an article. That's not content. I'm sorry.
Let me try to rephrase your argument.
Matter, then.
Let me try to rephrase your argument to see if I understand it. Okay, and you tell me if this is right or wrong. So you're saying that the human build a turbine, and turbines have these properties. Cells also have these properties of the turbine. Therefore, it must have also been designed. Is that correct?
An intelligent agent has produced what we're seeing inside. What did you say about humans?
So you're saying there's a pattern. A turbine has a pattern. It has like these parts, these like 6 parts that make it a turbine. And this pattern, these 6 parts, is also present in the ATP synthase. Therefore, because they both have the 6 parts similarity, they also have the similarity of being designed. Is that your argument?
It's not a similarity. It's that the object exists inside of the cell, right? So based on cause and effect.
And where's the logo of the guy who made it?
Why do you
why does it matter?
Come on.
Stop. Why does it matter why it's in the cell? What does that have to do with anything?
Because we're talking about the ATP. We're talking about intelligent design in the cells.
No. So again, I'm trying to understand your argument here. Your argument is that a turbine, which we know is designed, the turbine is this thing. It has these 6 properties. It moves things. It spins. Okay, and it's made of these pieces. And we also see this same property in these same 6 pieces in the cell in the ATP synthase. Therefore, the ATP synthase must also have been designed. That's your argument.
Yes, it's a logical argument that leads to a conclusion. Yes.
Okay. This is a rock. This is a rock. It was designed by a guy because it's a modeled rock, but it has all the properties of all the other rocks. Therefore, all the other rocks designed too.
That's not the argument because you're not making a causal argument.
I just made the same argument. I said, this rock is designed. So we know this rock is designed. It has the properties of whatever properties you want to attribute to it, its shape, its size, its weight, whatever. But those properties are also all in every other rock that wasn't designed.
Okay, so then you're not making the argument because remember premise 1 of the certain patterns are only known to come from an intelligent agent.
Right. So my argument is
that's how you actually refute it. If the second premise is that the object observed inside of the cell has an alternative place other than an intelligent agent, that it's not true to say that certain patterns are only known to come from an intelligent agent, which was premise 1. So if you can say that, well, rocks have alternative places to come from other than an intelligent agent, with like nature or whatever, give an example of evolutionary theory accounting for that particular system, well, then you refuse the argument.
Right, I did that. I already did that. So that's what Ken Miller does. Ken Miller shows all of the things on the ATP synthase can be accumulated naturally without any designer.
Because the biologists like Doug Axe and other people, they disagree.
I don't care what they think. The consensus in biology overrules what any individual thinks.
Okay,
the consensus is it's a natural process.
Okay, prove it. You're just making assertions.
Just like ants.
No. That's the consensus in the field by all of the academics, experts.
What do they say about the evolution of the ATP synthase? Have they demonstrated the mechanisms of evolution have been tested in the laboratory to produce this effect? Or are they demonstrated homologies or what? What are you saying? You're not even telling me anything.
Can I tag in? Hey, teach. God, my arm's aching. Teach.
We'll give Phil a chance to talk. Go ahead, Phil.
Okay. All turbines, this is my premise, right? All turbines must be created organically then, correct? because that's the one thing that is not the same
Oh,
in a flagellum than in a turbine that a man makes. So
Oh.
all turbines must be made organically, like because incidentally is not the same thing as was made by a guy put it in a thing. The thing is always in the thing. Also, and can we define intelligent? Because I know I'm almost okay with dummy designed, almost, if you want to go alien made things and threw it into space. That's like dumb design. You can't call that a god. You're not gonna no one's gonna ask me to give them money for their church or pray for me or anything. That's fine.
Foresight comparable to humans or greater.
Oh, okay. Why?
That's intelligence.
I don't think there's any evidence of that. I think the Earth happened the way it happened, and we got lucky. Mars probably had something that happened similar to that. Okay, cool. I will mute myself again willingly.
Well, the point, I mean, here's the point here. The only person here that is given any articles to source anything is myself. Or if we're going to be talking about intelligent design is a crack at science, right? So if there's any science out there, any data out there, any facts that we can put on the table, I'm more than willing to talk about Ken Miller. I'm more than willing to talk about anything, but I need to get into the substance of what they claim, because just because a scientist says something or claims something doesn't mean it's valid. If the consensus of scientists agrees that it has actually been confirmed that the ATP synthase has evolved, then I would like to see what the evidence is. I understand the arguments because I've read into the arguments that scientists have made on both sides of the fence, like the hexamericula cases. I'm throwing that out there because that's where they believe shares homologous proteins with the ATP synthase, but they fail because what they're doing is only comparing homologies. That is actually what you guys are claiming is being done. It's pareidolia, it's pattern seeking. You're looking like seeing faces in the clouds. All they're doing is connecting dots with two things that look similar, but not showing a causal linkage to that for that thing to actually being able to be developed. But what we do know is that intelligent agents produce turbines. That's the object in question here. We see a turbine inside of the cell, so therefore we can infer that that was more than likely the end result of an intelligent agent, because in every single other instance in the past, an intelligent agent has produced a turbine. And so that's what I'm trying to say, is that you guys say it's pattern seeking, or you're just looking at it in the sense like it's a subjective or something. No, this is a fact of what the turbine is. A turbine is also inside of the cell. It's not an opinion that it's a turbine. That's what the mainstream scientists say. So what do we do with that conclusion? You guys claim Ken Miller, a mainstream scientist, says something. Claims can be made, but what does the actual evidence say in support? And thus far, no one here has provided any evidence.
Well, I actually did. I presented papers by Ken Miller that have been.
You asserted what Ken Miller
so.
said, but you won't give me the source so you and I can read through it.
We're not reading it on a stream. Are you crazy? This is for YouTube.
I said Google Ken Miller ATP synthase. It's the first thing that pops up.
Okay, let's look at it. Let's look at
go for it. No, we're not going to go through academic
papers. Guy, come on. You got to know. You can read the room. It's YouTube. You got to have an argument now or not or never. You know what I mean? Like we can go read it later after the after party. That's cool. But come on.
Your argument
I have an argument. All you guys are having is assertions. That's why I want to read through it.
I gave you the same assertion you gave. You just gave some assertion. Anyone can give just any assertion at the top and just go, well,
let's
you
see
didn't 100% just prove my assertion. So there it goes. It's like, what is this? Come on.
For that,
I gave you an argument. I'm the only one who gave an argument here. No one.
I asked for a lot of things to be clarified so I could make an argument, and no one would clarify those things. I don't really have an interesting argument, do I?
Let's jump to Octangelo.
Yes, I agree.
If you have anything, we haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah. First of all, ATP synthase is not a product of evolution, because it had to emerge before self-replication cells could start. So the only alternative explanation to design would be random development or by chaos or chance on early Earth. So that is your alternative. It's not evolution. I have several science papers which confirm that on the first self-replicating cell, ATP synthase was required, was necessary. So we are not talking about evolution versus intelligent design. We are talking about chance or lucky random accidents versus intelligent design.
I'm down for lucky accident, man. That happened. Because obviously it happened. Look, we're here. We're talking right now. It happened. So the chance of it happening, it happened. So what does it matter what the chances are if it happened? That's why I don't understand. Like, if there's a point because I'm supposed to give money to a church, this is where you're supposed to slip that in here. But otherwise, I don't understand the point of the conversation.
Otzangelo, your argument is that the first replicating cell has ATP synthase. That's fine. The first replicating molecule did not. You do not need an ATP synthase for a replicating molecule. So, for example, the first replicating molecules would be like RNA. We've seen those developed on clay, which then can produce DNA, and then DNA can then produce cells. So you don't need the first replicating cell to as the first replicating a molecule. So ATP synthase was not required to make the first replicating molecule, which can then build the first replicating cell. So your argument doesn't follow. ATP synthase can completely be resulted from a biological evolution from natural non-reproducing molecles.
And also on the intelligence thing, sorry. Okay,
Tom,
sorry,
I would recommend that
I
you
knew he
have
was coming in.
after this chat a look at my channel. I have there a video on the origin of nucleotides and RNA, and my conclusion is that prebiotic synthesis of RNA and DNA is not possible.
I don't really care about your conclusion. I'm going to go with the scientists, and their conclusion is that it is possible because they've actually demonstrated it. Like they've actually seen RNA being built on clay. So
their conclusion is that it is not possible, and I can cite you Kern Smith, which is
no. Again, the consensus is that it is possible. The RNA world is one of the leading hypotheses for abiogenesis. So again, you're just wrong on that. Sorry, no.
What about octopuses and other cephalopods?
With you. I disagree with you.
You don't get an opinion. It's just one of the consensuses is the RNA world.
I can show you the science after our chat.
What about cephalopods? They don't make any sense. Like they're antisocial. Where almost every creature on this planet is a social animal. Even ants, the despicable ant. They're antisocial, but they're highly intelligent. They can change their RNA, correct? I can't remember. Sorry, their DNA on some level. They're crazy. We're learning all this stuff about cephalopods. I don't eat squid anymore. They're too smart. Like I feel like I'm eating some kind of weird alien.
Well, the problem is abiogenesis is almost
what one guy made both of us. Like that's where Ken Hovind comes in and goes, that's proof of the same designer. And I'm like, dog, how? Because like, how did he make a squid? That's so weird compared to what everything else is. Like you can see where dogs and bears are the same kind of animal, right? You can see where, because there's links. And bears kind of look like dogs, and some dogs look almost exactly like bears, like Pomeranians. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's pretty obvious, like, I'm a dumb person and I can figure this out. Because to me, it seems like you're spending all of this time and effort where you could have, like, learned how to play a board game or met new people. And, like, I don't understand the point in this argument. Like, what am I supposed to be gleaning from this? What is it? What is the point of an intelligent designer get to us progressing in saving people in Australia from the horrible fires? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, how is it not regressive insanity?
That's a red herring. That's what you call it.
Okay, cool. We're just doing debate games. That's cool. I didn't know we're playing debate games. I thought it was a discussion and not debate games.
Now, what you're saying is a red herring.
I just don't understand the point. I don't understand the point. Like, you won't make it clear to me so I can, like, defend why you shouldn't think the way you think.
All we're trying to do is make arguments because the topic of tonight's debate has to do with intelligent design. So we're
right, but there's no. I mean, I'm a layman and I don't see any evidence.
Let's give him a chance to finish. Go ahead, Truman Pierce says.
I was responding to him actually that what we're trying to do is tonight's debate has to do with intelligent design. So
I'm trying to make it entertaining, my guy. I'm so sorry.
All myself and Untangelo are doing is we're trying to make an argument for intelligent design. I'll just hit on some other thing that TJump brought up, the RNA world hypothesis. All those theories that are ideas, they're not even theories. All these ideas are inside of the confines of science are really just, they're not, okay, so with other scientific theories that usually they're looking into data or they're looking into the world to try to figure out how certain things work. The problem is with abiogenesis and RNA world studies is that there is a pressure that it seems like that scientists have to manufacture results. And then they're going to say, well, okay, well, abiogenesis is true. The problem is...
Wait, are you making a conspiracy theory right now? I checked out for a second and then I started hearing dog whistles.
No conspiracy theory. There's no conspiracy theory, but I think that if you look inside...
No, I didn't ask you. TJump, did you hear that too? Or is that just me?
So you want to ignore my response and ask TJump? Do you want to hear from
I don't
me?
want to hear your response. I was asking because I don't want to confirm that I'm not hearing what I'm hearing.
Okay, so you want to finish your hearing what I got to say?
Sure, go ahead.
All I'm trying to say is that from the Muscovite mica, this idea of a sandwich or with the free-floating nucleotides in a prebiotic soup, all of these ideas, they all fail. None of them can ever show how the minimum amount of proteins can come together to produce an actual cell, to produce a whatever was before the cell, because they don't even know what it was. But the point here is that if you're looking into the information, you realize that there's no evidence at all of abiogenesis whatsoever. So where is the pressure coming from to go into that direction? If you look at it from evolutionary perspective, for example, the base level, right? They claim that, well, that's what the evidence shows, that the further you go back, the more simplistic things get. The reality is that if you look at the Cambrian, most of the major phylum are already there, the chordates, the echinoderms, and so on. There's no evidence of divergence at the very...
Hold on. I'm gonna let you finish. I promise. I promise I'm gonna let you finish. You don't believe in evolution?
I do not. So I think evolution is...
You do not accept evolution?
I think that evolution is a fact. Change happens, but the conclusion from that change...
How old is the Earth?
I don't know how old the Earth is. I don't care.
How old do you think the Earth is?
It could be millions of years old, billions.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, would you...
Or let me... Okay, so which question do you want me to answer first? You know, because you keep interrupting me. You change it every time you interrupt me. So what do you want me to ask?
Sorry, man. Go ahead.
I think he's asking if you're a young Earth creationist. Do you believe the world is 6,000?
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand what I'm arguing against, man. I'm not trying to be shitty. I'm just like, what am I supposed to make content out of if you're like, just like math, science, math, science. I get, look, I'm dumb. I'm the populist. Make me entertained, dude. I mean, come on.
This is a debate. You're supposed to be talking about intelligent design. So,
it's a discussion.
It's
always a discussion. It's been a discussion forever.
Like, intelligent design.
We've already talked about your premise, man. Like that's what I mean. Like,
let's see what both TJump and Octangelo, if you guys have anything to add.
I'm out.
All right. So your argument is that there's some pattern that we only see as being produced by intelligent design, and that we see the same pattern in these objects in cells. The problem is that there is no such pattern. Just saying here is a turbine, here is an object that we see as designed, and then creating a pattern out of that object and saying we see a similar object in nature does not work, because humans design all kinds of things, complicated and uncomplicated. Humans design rocks just for artwork, and we can see the same patterns of that designed rock in the design nature, in the rocks in nature that aren't designed. So simply saying taking a designed object and then labeling it with the parts that are made up and then looking for those same parts in nature and saying, well, that's also designed, fails completely. In order for your first premise to work, what you need to do is you need to make an abstract concept, which is the design property. What is design? How do you label design? And you have to give that like Behe and Dembski do with the mathematical formula usually, which you can then compare the mathematical analysis of one object and another object. Just saying that here is a human object that has designed and, well, it has these parts, and here is a biological organism that has the same parts, therefore it's designed, doesn't work. That is not a pattern. You're just looking at the same thing in both of them.
Okay, well, here's the problem. Here's the problem here, though, that the cell, when you're talking about the cell, we were not even able to see what the turbine looked like until relatively recently, because we didn't have the equipment to see it. The first turbine was built, I don't even remember how long ago.
I'm not following here. So my argument has nothing to do with the cell here. My argument.
Hold on a second. Before we even discovered the ATP synthase,
what does this have to do with my argument? My argument is that you can't just say here is a human object, it has these properties. Here is a biological object that has these properties, therefore it's designed. It doesn't. The cell doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it happened before any human turbine. It is irrelevant. My argument is just saying that you can't look at a human designed object, describe its properties, and then look at a biological object that has the same properties and conclude its design. That does not work. That is not.
These are just assertions. Hold on. These are just assertions that you're making. You got to remember what I'm doing here. I am making a causal argument based on cause and effect. If in every single instance in the past, a turbine has come from an intelligent agent, as far as our knowledge has gone, I'm standing in that pool of knowledge and I'm holding on to that. And so there is an object which we have not seen come yet from an intelligent agent, right? A biological object observed inside of the cell, which is the same thing as those things that we have created. So the point here is that what we're doing is look at it from an abductive perspective, right?
Well,
And
I already addressed that. Like,
wait, please. This is important. You just keep making assertions. You need to understand.
No. I already addressed you're just going into my same argument that I've already made. So I've already defeated that, and I want to try. So I want to give you an opportunity to try and show me where I'm wrong.
You don't understand anything. Just stop for a second.
No. I know what you're going to say. My problem is that
what am I going to say? What am I going to say?
Well, you're going to again. The problem here is that you're saying that.
What am I going to say?
I'd have to go back and listen to your sentence.
So I'm going to make an abductive argument so you can understand it better now. Do you understand?
No, I understand your argument completely. It's just wrong. I know where your argument is wrong, and I addressed it the first thing I said. When you say there is an observable pattern, there's only.
Let's take 1 second. 1 second. Okay, we have to have. So, was there a new point that in true empiricism that made Tom jump that you'd like to respond to, that you feel before going on to his next point you'd like to address?
Well, he's making the same point over and over again. He's just trying to obfuscate it with different kinds of language. So his main point is that there is this pattern we see in nature, and he's going to call turbines this pattern. That doesn't work. That immediately fails. You can't do that. It doesn't matter if there's a turbine in the cell. I can just grant, yes, there's a turbine in the cell. Your argument still fails because you can't call a turbine a pattern. A turbine isn't a pattern. A turbine is an object. So the fact that humans make an object and objects have this pattern that we've made isn't an argument. That doesn't work. You can't just then label anything else that also has those properties as being designed either, because humans design lots of things. So if we used this process that he is outlining and said, okay, we're going to take an object that we only see as being designed by humans, like for say crystals or some specific kind of crystal, and then we discover a planet that has those same crystals on it, it is not reasonable to conclude that
you don't know what a pattern is then, apparently.
So no, I do. That's the problem.
You don't know what a pattern is.
No, I do understand what a pattern is. A pattern.
You're telling me that I can't. You're basically telling me that this is crazy. So there's a turbine, right? Every time we find a turbine, it's a creator has built it, right? But you're saying for some reason that there's no logical connection to it at all. That okay, we found a turbine at all, but we can't say it. Correct. Turbine too, because reasons. I mean, what?
That's correct. So here's the reason. We can say if there's a crystal that we only see as being built by humans, and then we go discover another planet, those crystals are on that planet, would it be reasonable to conclude those crystals were designed by a designer?
Oh, what did I tell you about the rocks earlier? You weren't, so you're not listening. See, if you have the argument that I gave you is trying to narrow down one thing. Premise one: certain patterns in nature are only known to come from an intelligent agent. Again, certain patterns in nature are only known to come from an intelligent agent. If you were to look at, for example, man-made lakes versus naturally occurring lakes, you would have two different explanations right on the table. Man-made things versus naturally occurring things. There are two alternatives for that knowledge. And so we can definitely say that we
let's just say you're right. I just grant all of that. I'm going to say you're absolutely 100% right. Now so if there's certain kinds of patterns that we only see being made by humans that are never made in nature, like for example, if humans make a certain kind of crystal that has never been seen in nature anywhere, ever, no matter what, it's only made by humans. It's the only way we know it was made. And then we discover a planet where these crystals have been being there for billions of years before humans ever made it. Would it be reasonable to conclude the crystals were designed? No.
If there was new information, new knowledge that came to the table that showed, okay, now it's a naturally occurring phenomena, then the first premise becomes invalidated because it's not the only known place to come from an intelligent agent, right? You got to pay attention to what I'm telling you.
Again, I don't think you're following my argument. So again, I'm saying there's a natural thing that was only known to come about by humans, just like you said, the first premise. So here's an object, a crystal that humans have made that is nowhere on Earth. We've never seen it being made anywhere but by humans. And we don't know of any natural process that does it. We have no idea. We just go to a planet and we see these crystals. We don't know how they were made. We don't know what caused them naturally or designed. And your argument is that, well, since we only know it's being designed by humans on Earth in the current time, therefore we're going to conclude these crystals were designed and not naturally produced. Correct? That's what you would do using this process. We made a crystal only seen, done on Earth by humans, and we go to a planet, we discover the crystal, we don't find a natural process for it. Is it reasonable to conclude those crystals were necessarily or probably
Crystals,
designed.
there are different kinds of crystals that are made that occur naturally, so the argument wouldn't fit because it's not a causal argument. You need to use
Yes, exactly. And just
what
like
you're giving me is what's called a fallacy of faulty analogy. You
no,
can't
no, 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 no. The point of the analogy is just like you said that we see other crystals that are made in other ways, and they're similar to the crystals we see in that we just
It's not
made.
about similarities. It's about the
No,
exact
no,
properties of an object that has a uniform property. Do you understand?
no, no. There's
Do
no,
all turbines have little screws?
there is
and,
no
like,
there is no ATP synthase that has the exact properties of any turbine humans made because none of them are made of steel. So they can't be the exact properties. You're ambiguating with similarities. You're saying it has a spinny thing and another spinny thing and it causes motion, and that's essentially what you're calling a turbine. So
No,
just
it
like
is, it does. Just stop. The ATP synthase is what? A turbine. That's what I keep on telling you, right? A
yes, I
turbine
grant
has
that.
specific every turbine has specific properties. Telling me that it's made out of different material doesn't tell me anything.
No, no, no. Chris,
Stop,
you
stop.
said
Different
exact. You
turbines
said
are made out of
exact
woods,
properties. Remember?
plastics. Different turbines are made out of woods, plastics, coppers, different kinds of metals. The fact that you point out, well, this turbine is made out of biological material, proteins and compounds, doesn't tell me anything. It's just additional material.
Remember, you said
Point is that is it a turbine or not?
I understand what you're saying. So again, your criticism of my argument was the fact that they have to be the exact same. And no, that's false. You just have to have the same general set of properties that you've chosen. So
That's why I told you earlier.
That's why I told you. Let's just let him finish as well. One sec. Were you done, Tom?
No. So his argument was, my argument is that, so we see these man-made crystals that are only made by humans. Oh, but they're analogous to other things we've seen that are other crystals that aren't man-made crystals. There's something else. Well, we can do the same thing with the ATP synthase. So just like we see the ATP synthase, which is similar to a turbine, all of the other parts, the parts of the ATP synthase are like those other crystals. We've seen them being developed naturally. They don't need to be combined, but to design in any way. So just like we have an analogy to a man-made crystal, and we can see, well, clearly there are other crystals. And so it's reasonable to infer that this crystal could also be produced by natural processes. We can look at the ATP synthase and see, well, all of the parts of the ATP synthase can come about by natural processes. So it's reasonable to conclude that it's also a product of natural processes. So his original argument that simply saying there's this object that's only apparent in human design, therefore inferring it must be designed if there's any other thing that has the same properties, doesn't work for the same reason as my crystal analogy. If we make crystals that are only made by humans and we go to another planet and we see crystals, those same kind of crystals, it would not be reasonable to conclude the design for the same reason.
You're missing the point. The ATP
no, I got your point exactly. You're saying that there's
the ATP synthase is an object located inside of the mitochondria. The mitochondria.
It doesn't matter where the object is located.
It's
no difference to the argument.
The point is that the ATP synthase is the object that's up for debate right now, and so we're trying to point at what's inside of it to find out.
I'm not sure how you don't see why
you're not understanding what we're doing here. We're trying.
No, I'm taking your exact argument and making a replica for it. Show you why it doesn't work. I don't understand what you're trying.
Can you stop over talking me now, please? We're trying to understand the object that's in question to come to a conclusion over it. You're saying, well, if we find something, the ATP synthase emerging through nature.
No, I never said that.
So what are you talking about then?
So again, I'll go through it again. Tell me which part you don't understand. So if we have your first premise of your argument is that there are some natural things, natural patterns that are only seen done by design. So yes. We're going to come up with a natural pattern that we only see done by design, which is like, we're going to call it a crystal, and it's going to be a man-made crystal. It's only seen done by human design. And then we go to another planet and we discover these crystals are on that planet. So it fits your first premise. And then your second premise is that we only see these things being done by humans. And so since we only see these things being done by humans, it also fits your second premise. So if it fits your first premise and your second premise, the conclusion must also follow. So if this pattern of events occurs, we should also reasonably conclude that these crystals on this other planet were designed by humans using your own argument.
If there is a property, okay, try to follow this, please. If there is a property which has always had X cause, try to follow this, a property that has always had X cause, and then that property that has always had X cause is observed coming from another place that we are questioning, that we do not know we don't have any relation to yet. We don't know what it is, but it is the same property. Then we can infer based on our knowledge that that property, regardless of where it exists or where it's at, was the end result of an intelligent agent.
Right. Okay, I agree with that. I agree with all that.
Can I
agree.
jump in that?
No,
Can
I
jump
got
in
to
that?
respond to this. I got to respond to this really quick. So I agree with everything you just said. The problem is as I first thing I said was that the property you're describing is arbitrary. There is no such property. That's the problem. So when you claim a turbine
Yes, there is.
property of the turbine,
One sec. Let's give him a chance to finish, and then we got to jump over to Octangelo after Tom.
so when you
just
said
gave
there's
you
the
a
property
mainstream
of the
article.
turbine, you're simply just labeling a certain set of properties it has, and then saying that
I
those
didn't
same
label
set of
anything.
properties are also in the ATP synthase. Where I can do the same thing, and I can say the man-made crystal has a certain set of properties which makes it different from all of the other crystals that are on Earth. Therefore, this property, this set of properties, is only found in this crystal, which we know is only made by humans. And we're going to call that a property. And so we can make it fit your argument exactly. So this crystal has some property, some set of properties that make it independent of all other crystals, and it's only man-made. It's only
So a
that. And so
fallacy
it
of
has this
composition,
property.
is that what you're giving me then?
So what?
Is it a fallacy of composition or a fallacy? Which fallacy is it? Fallacy of composition or fallacy of
I think yours is a hasty generalization.
no, I
But
think that what you're doing is because you're trying to find one part of the whole and you're trying to exaggerate it to stretch it over the other parts of the whole. That's what you call a fallacy of composition.
no, that's what I'm saying you're doing. So
You're
I'm
telling me that because there's one part that's different inside of what we're observing inside of nature, that it's biological material. Therefore, you can ignore what it is as a whole, all the other properties that make it a turbine. That's the reason why I went back to the example that I brought up earlier, that turbine's different from one another.
No. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that
When I
you're
opened
doing
up
that.
in
I'm
this
saying
debate, I
that
specifically said
no.
the universal parts
Please,
of the
let me clarify. Let me clarify. So
inside of the
what
agent.
I'm saying is that you are making that fallacy
You're
because
making
you
a
are
fallacious
picking.
assertion.
You are
Repeat it.
1 second.
please,
Let's
please,
let Tom
please,
finish
let me-
for a sec.
you are picking a certain set of properties of a turbine. Specifically, you're determining it based off its function, what it does, and you're saying, well, what are the things that qualify what it does? And you're
No, I
going to
think it's
label that a
positive.
property. It's not all of the properties of a turbine. There are lots of other properties of a turbine that you're not including, like what it's
I
made of.
already explained that to you earlier.
No, I already explained this to you
Okay.
earlier. That's the problem. You've
Okay, so
arbitrarily chosen
let
a
me say
set of
this.
properties,
I'll listen
called
to
it
everything you
something
have
that's
to say.
designed, and then said there's an analogous thing in a cell. Anybody can do that, just like my crystal example,
This
as
is
I
a fallacy of
demonstrated,
division you're
which
giving
is
me.
why it doesn't work. Yes, your argument is a fallacy of division. Exactly. That's correct.
It's not a fallacy of division. How are you going to say mine's a
It's
fallacy?
the exact same as the argument I just
Yours
made.
is a
That's the
fallacy
problem.
of
So
division.
anything that applies to my argument also applies to yours because it's the same argument. It's
No, it's not.
structurally the same.
It's not. It's not
It
at all.
is.
You're
the exact
giving me
same
a
argument.
fallacy of division to try to attack a logical argument that leads down to its conclusions.
No, I'm using your
You
exact
even
argument. It's the
acknowledge at
same
the beginning-
premise,
hold on,
same
hold on.
conclusion.
You even
So
said
if-
at the beginning that my argument was a logical argument. So let's not even try to say that. But hold
So
on.
yeah, I'm using your same argument. That's the point. I've just changed it from being a cell to a crystal.
God,
It's the same
what
argument.
you're giving straw man fallacy, you're attacking another argument rather than the actual
No,
argument.
it's the exact same form as your
Let me
argument.
sort this
So
out. Let me sort this out. So at the beginning of the hangout, when this discussion we started, I made a very clear point to say the universal points and properties of a turbine are what we're observing inside of the ATP synthase. That's what we're observing. The
well, no.
universal-
They're not
Because
universal
there are
properties of
different
every
kinds of
turbine. There
turbines.
is no such thing as universal properties of every turbine. It's just
Yes, there is. Hold on.
properties we label as a
You
turbine.
got to listen to what I'm going to say to you because here's the point. Steam turbines, Pelton turbines, they all differ from one another. Some use steam, some use water, some use wind. There are different turbines. They all have a variety of different mechanical parts, but the universal properties of those parts, a rotor, a stator, energy utilization, these are all of the same properties in each and every one of these
All right,
turbines.
I think I
And so the
got it. I think
basic
I got it.
universal properties are what you're observing inside of the
I
ATP.
grant all of that.
Hold on.
accept
You're
everything you just
saying
said.
that it's different
give, like,
because what we're observing inside of
So
nature.
I apologize. I grant everything you
Because
just
what we're
said.
observing inside
Yes,
of
I grant it.
nature
I grant
is
it completely.
organic material.
Okay,
I agree.
one
I
sec.
agree.
That
I
is
agree. I
fallacy
agree. I agree. Okay.
of
Okay.
One
Okay.
sec.
So let me
All
explain.
the other parts of
We're
this
gonna
whole.
hold on.
I am agreeing
Maybe-
with everything you just said.
Maybe
So can I now?
maybe one sentence to wrap it up. True
Yes.
empiricism, and then we got to
Yes.
switch over to Tom Jump.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Okay, so really quick, what he's basically doing, he's trying to narrow down on one property that is different inside of nature because it can't be the same as the things that we're observing. That property has to do with organic material. I point out that all sorts of turbines have different materials, obviously. So it would follow logically that it's either the fallacy division, fallacy composition. You guys go look it up who's watching because that doesn't matter. You can't just ignore all the other properties of a turbine and say that it's not a turbine because turbines are different. All sorts of turbines are different from one another. It doesn't work to say that it doesn't have the same material. It's illogical. He just committed a fallacy in response to me. That's all it was.
Okay, let's go back to Tom.
All right. So my argument is that he has cherry picked certain properties that we call turbines because we've labeled a turbine to be these certain properties. So if I can say we create a crystal that has these specific new properties, we can label that new properties a turbine. It's just give it any label we want. And so these new properties that only exist in this one crystal man-made is a turbine. And if we see these new properties that we call a turbine in a different planet, is it man-made? No. The fact that there are a certain set of properties we call a turbine, and those certain set of properties are only made by humans, and then we see those properties in something else naturally, is not evidence it's designed. It's, as he said, a composition division fallacy. No, that does not work. You can't just say there is a list of properties we call a turbine, and then these properties are in a natural thing, therefore it's designed, because it fits the example I gave of the crystal exactly. If we created a crystal man-made, which only has these certain properties which are different from all other crystals, and we label these new properties the turbine property, and then we see the turbine property in another planet, is it reasonable to conclude those other planet crystals are designed? No, it doesn't work.
You use turbine property, the way that you say it, it's like almost like, well, it's not really what it is. It's just like we're calling it that. We're not just calling it that. It's not, not us just calling us that. That's why I just gave you that peer-reviewed article from Science so that you could look at it and read
Well,
it.
no,
It's not us.
exactly right.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly
Even
right.
if we don't say it, even if whatever words we describe it, those are the exact parts that are located in the universal properties of different turbines at their basic function. And so it doesn't, there's nothing vague about this. This is a universal fact accepted by mainstream scientists. This is what the turbine is. This is what the ATP synthase is. All mainstream scientists acknowledge
this is the gravity of
is a
cells.
turbine.
Sorry, I was muted for 10 minutes. I can't do it anymore. This is the gravity of cells, man. Turbines exist in cells. This is equivalent to gravity. It's equivalent to string theory. It's equivalent to all that other shit. It just is.
All right, we will go back to true empiricism for a second. Thank you, Phil.
Well, I'll go back to the actual science here. This is from Portland Press, guys. This is from Bioscience Reports. I'm going to read it out if I can really quickly. Just
because I'm a ranting madman does not mean it's not actual
the
science.
cellular structure of the turbine C-ring from spinach chloroplast and the FATP synthase. If you guys read through this article, the people that are watching will notice it refers to all the parts in the same way that I refer to it as.
My shoulders off right now.
It refers to the rotor part of the cellular the introduction. That's exactly what it is. There's no opinion here. Anybody who denies this, they're denying science. So I don't know what to say here. If it's just going to be this attitude to where
no, I just was hoping that OG could say something. You've said the same thing over and over. I appreciate it. We get it. Can OG say what he was going to say? He's like not said nothing, and I'm going to mute myself again.
Well, I hope you guys actually start going after the argument then instead of committing these. I think I've counted at least 4 or 5 different fallacies here.
I think. What? Phil, thank you, Phil, for muting yourself. So, what we can do is
go to the Q&A.
Otangelo, do you have any last words? Otherwise, Tom suggests we go to the Q&A.
I agree with true empiricism. ATP synthase is engine that makes energy in the cell, and it is a true rotor engine, and that is not just an analogy or something like that. It is a real rotor engine, and we see many devices like this in the cell. The cell itself is a factory, and to make the cell factory, you need instructional information. You need a DNA blueprint, and it is not an allegory. It is, in a true sense, a blueprint or instructional information to make the cell factory. And these kind of things we know only are coming from intelligence. Chance and random lucky accidents do not produce instructional information and factories. That is simply not reasonable to make that inference.
Thank you. And we can give a short and pithy response from our atheist friends since we had our theist friends get the ball rolling at the start.
The information process is just a physical system. So proteins and original cells form by physical folds in them. So it's like falling rocks. There's no actual design required. It's not arbitrary. So yes, they can be information systems, and information is in everything. We know that from physics. Like if you drop a salt crystal into a black hole, the information from the salt crystal is left on the surface of the black hole. So every object, everything in the universe has information. There's no design required for that.
Gotcha.
You said black. You described a black hole, and you gave me existential dread. Thank you, dude. All I'm going to say is Nordax, Mingyang, United Power, Siemens, Gamesa, General Electric, Suzunian Group, Siemens, of course, Siemens, or Enercon. Which of those turbine manufacturers manufactured the cell turbine? I'll give my time to the questions, which I hope will be spicy and fun. I know the chat hates me. They already do. Bring it, you haters.
They love you. The funny thing is, when we started this debate, I was a little bit nervous it would be low energy, but it definitely was not. And we appreciate your passion, Phil. It's been a wild one. You never know what's going to happen here. I never do, that's for sure. So we are excited to jump into these questions for the Q&A. But I just want to say, as a reminder, these gentlemen have their links in the description. I want to say thanks for these guys being here. It's always a pleasure. It's been, like I said, I mentioned it before, but I mean, like Tom is like, we're like brothers. We were separated at birth, we look the same. Look at you, Tom. You look just
Except I'm the pretty one.
Oh, Thomas, there he goes again. So
Angels.
He's a terrific guy. And the second thing though, Tom is always the most forgiving guy. I don't know if you guys knew this, but like a month ago on Twitter, as a joke, I tweeted that Tom was exposing himself to old people at the mall. And nobody took it as a joke, though. They thought I was serious. And they're like, bro, are you serious? And I was like, ooh. But Tom forgave me for it. Isn't that nice?
Well, I mean, I forgave you because it was true, so.
Well, here we are. So excited.
Where are your morals? Where do you get your morals?
He's never done that. Okay, well, so excited. But yes, we are stoked to get this rolling. So here we go.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
First up, Steven Steen, thanks for your super chat. He said, when I see Tom Friday, I'm giving him a hug. That's right, Tom will be in the debate tour. So you will get to see Tom in another live debate. And that's going to be this Saturday. He'll be debating on the resurrection with Jonathan Sheffield. But presumably, Tom, are you going to make the debate on Friday between Nathan Thompson, Flat Earth, the Prince of Flat Earth, and Team Skeptic?
I have no idea. You haven't even told me where it was. So
okay, Tom, seriously? So he will be there, folks. I promise he'll be there. So next up, Ryan Stevens. Thanks for your Patreon question. He said, what priors did Artangelo use in his Bayesian calculations?
I gave an example how to calculate the odds to have a minimal cell. And that gives you a probability number, which demonstrates very clearly that to get a functional cell by random events is far, far beyond the possible. So this is an example.
Gotcha. Thanks very much. Always a pleasure. Next up, we got a super chat from I'm Sorry Wilson. Thanks for your question. They said, did you really teach G-Man hydraulics? And they were asking that to true empiricism.
Hydraulics. Well, that's the sad part about it is that G-Man a while ago, he and I had a discussion, just a general chat, sort of like this. He explained to him the hydrolysis reaction. And he's repeated it one time. He said hydraulics. It was the first time he heard about it. And they refused to give him any charity over it. So, I mean, if I were to question the same person over hydrolysis reaction or the Krebs cycle or anything like that, or anything, like more than likely he wouldn't know it either off the top of his head at the very first moment he heard about it. So I think that he needs to be a bit more charitable to G-Man. You wouldn't expect most people to understand these topics unless they do the research. So I think he needs to be nice. That's all I can say.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Next up, super chat from Steven Steen, who says, Nephilim Free has more knowledge of science than Richard Dawkins. Serious. Thanks for that super chat. Well, okay, Stupid Whore Energy. Thanks for your super chat. So
yes!
She calls herself.
I'm such a fan. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm such a fan. Thank you, Stupid Whore Energy. I was afraid you weren't going to be here.
She is a character, to say the least. She says, you can get significant biological activity with just 3 amino acids. My guess is this is for you, True Empiricism, or Artangelo.
I'm
I
sorry.
don't.
What was it?
I,
What was the question?
So she had said you can get significant biological activity with only 3 amino acids.
Well, inside of the cell, maybe, depending on how it's being used, but you can't get really anything going with just 3 amino acids.
Gotcha.
How many amino acids does it take to create a protein? How many proteins is necessary for just the basic unit of life? The ATP, the DNA itself, the way that it manipulates with the DNA gyrates, the beta clamps, the helicases, so many different complex protein machineries that are all dependent on. There's a lot of material there. So how can you do anything with the amino acids? She needs to give me a better explanation for that.
Gotcha. Thanks so much. Next up, Stupid Whore Energy. Thanks for your super chat. She says, nature can make molecular machines via natural selection, mutation, constructive neutral evolution, and combinatorial genome shifts. What do you think of them apples?
I think that those are just assertions. I think that if people look into the literature, there has never been a test for any mechanisms of evolution, whether horizontal gene transfer, vertical gene transfer, any mechanisms of evolution being utilized to create these machines or effects. They only compare anatomy or homologies of existing proteins and declare that one came from one another by pareidolia, by pattern seeking, by saying this looks similar to this one, therefore they conclude that this shares a lineage because of their similarities, and that's there's no demonstration, there's no causal linkage. So
I feel like you say things with confidence, and you think we're just like okay, fine, but it's like, come on, like bears and dogs. I don't understand.
Okay, well then refute me. Say stuff. Use words.
The problem is deeper because you need a minimal number of proteins to have a functional self-replicating cell. So it is not only a question of evolution, how you get different proteins once you have life, but also how you get proteins before life starts. And that's a much bigger problem.
I'm super okay with just chaos, dude. I really am. Like blind chaos is fine by me.
Gotcha.
Okay, what now?
You can get self-replicating organisms, which we're going to call life, before the cell. So the cell.
Well, let me ask you guys this question then, and not only for you but for the audience in regards to.
I'm also not talking for Tom. I mean me. I'm an agent of chaos, so I have to.
Okay, so chaos is like me dropping a couple of toothpicks on the floor and forming the word "it." Compare that to the English alphabet for dropping the whole box of toothpicks on the floor and getting the Declaration of Independence. That's the difference between both of our positions: evolutionary theory, random process of gradual intent, or gradual accident, or an intelligent agent deliberately manipulating those parts so that you can have language. What makes more sense there? What actually?
No, my position.
That's in regards to DNA.
My position isn't chaos at all. My position is gradual changes. So like if we have a random book with random letters that have nothing but gibberish, and every time you get a new copy of the book with one change and it is guided to one towards a conclusion, well then eventually you're going to get Shakespeare's works, because it's a guided conclusion that's determined by physical forces, which is essentially what the cell is.
Evolution is not guided
physical process. No, it's a guided
process.
No, it's guided. It's specifically guided by natural selection.
No, I'm not saying evolution is random chaos. I'm saying the initial reason why Earth exists and why we're able to have this conversation, its initial thing. Yeah, I mean, there's a very slim chance, one way or the other, Earth would have been totally different. We could be having this conversation on Mars, going the blip bloops. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that. I'm okay with that. That's the only thing I'm talking about, because I feel like that's what always comes down to. It's like, well, Earth is just so perfect. It had to have. And you're like, well, I wasn't Mars. Like we're speculating that Mars might have been okay for a while, and then maybe it fizzled out for one reason or another. And there's a lot of theories on this, like that are way over my brain space. So, but it doesn't say anything. Like you're hammering this whole thing down. Like you have this life preserver of there's a turbine in it. There's a turbine in it. But we're like, you're just saying it's a turbine, and you won't admit that you're just saying it's a turbine.
We've got to quick go back to the questions pretty quick here. I'm going to give you a short and pithy, quick response, true empiricism, and then we've got to quick go back to the Q&A. True empiricism, are you there?
Okay. I was just going to say that that all I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to make sure that we understand the premises of my argument. I'm trying to compare a causal argument compared to an unintended process. Because remember, this is supposed to be about atheist and Christian. Atheism means to be without theism. Theism is a belief in a personal, interactive, creative God. That primacy of creation is what we're challenging here. And so, if
You said that there was no
Hold on,
intelligent,
we got to
like,
do
we're
a
not
short
talking
and
about an
pithy
intelligent.
response.
That's what's.
We got to
I
do
know.
a
I'm
short
sorry,
and
but
pithy
that's
response, and then we got to go back to the Q&A. Otherwise, we do have a
I'll leave
ton
it.
of questions.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
good. I have a lot of problems if we're talking about specifically the Christian God. Then I have a lot of problems with that idiot being in charge. So I'm so sorry.
We're not talking
Like
about
that gets really bad for me.
I'm
So
not talking about that specifically. I'll leave it at that though, because I know that there's these responses are very long-winded, and I feel like more so I got to teach than debate. So I'll leave it at that. Go ahead, James.
We're gonna jump into the okay. So we've got from Stupid Horror Energy. She says two proteins don't need the same amino acids to perform the same or similar functions. That's why when they do, we conclude relatedness, like concluding that two students cheated on the same paper or test.
Well, that's an assertion. That's again what I said earlier, pareidolia, pattern seeking. You don't just get to say, well, similarities therefore equal. And I want to be careful with this because they're going to try to conflate that with the argument, but similarities don't necessarily equal, like there's a correlation of some kind. But if they can show a causal linkage, then I think that's what the point is. But I'll give on Tangelo. I'll just let you start answering them because I know I've hogged a lot of this
Well,
time.
I know that there are proteins which are necessary for life, like RNA, sorry, ribonuclear, sorry, my English is bad, RNR proteins. They are needed to modify the RNA to become DNA. And you have 3 different versions of that protein to perform the same biosynthesis function. And now you have to ask yourself, why is that? Why do you have 3 different versions of a protein which you need prebiotically to perform the same function? It makes absolutely no sense if you check that out from a naturalistic perspective. Now, of course, you can ask why did a designer make 3 different versions? I don't know, but I understand that only a designer would design 3 different proteins to perform the same function.
Gotcha.
Why not 6? Why not 9? Why not 12?
We're going to jump over to the next question. We've got to have, don't worry, we've got to have some for TJump and let's see. Oh, wait, we got Dwayne Burke. Thanks for your super chat. They said, TJump, it takes intelligence to create AI, but you believe intelligence isn't required for biological intelligence when it is so much more complex.
Okay. So yeah, artificial intelligence, we don't have that yet. It's possible that there's silicon-based life, which would in fact create artificial intelligence as we define it, and that could live on other planets. So no, artificial intelligence can come about by biological processes using silicon-based life instead of carbon-based life. So no, it's only we just don't have it yet, and so we're going to have to do it manually using human intelligence.
Gotcha.
Right, and if a robot gained sentience, they would have equal rights, by the way. So everyone knows. C-3PO is a slave, and I don't like what Star Wars says about robots. I'm sorry. Go on.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Stupid, let's see. Stupid Horror Energy, as she likes to call herself. Thanks for your super chat. She says, darn it, one more. The alpha and beta subunits of the FATP synthase are related, which suggests a gene duplication. Thoughts?
I'm assuming that's for me because she's bringing up the ATP synthase.
I think so.
How they're related? Well, I would like to see her evidence for that. I'm assuming it's just homologies in the sequences, and I'm wondering where she got that from. But that's just the layout of what they are to build the bottom portion of the F1, F0 part of the structure, I believe it is. And there's 3 alpha, 3 beta, and you have a gamma, delta, epsilon. All it is it's a portion to open up when a proton gradient moves in to allow an additional phosphate to be attached to a adenosine diphosphate. So I mean, she's not saying anything; she's just making assertions. I don't know what I can do with that.
Gotcha. Thanks so much for your super chat. Spikes Myth. I think I said it right. Please let me know if I didn't. He said, describe an intelligence that is not dependent on a neural frame network in space and time. I think that might be for Tom and Phil. I'm not sure.
Not quite. So his argument is essentially using the same thing. We only know of minds that are made of biological processes. Therefore, if there is another mind, it's probably made of a biological process, which is the same kind of argument that that true empiricism is using. Well, we only know if this object is made by us. Therefore, if we see this other object with the same properties, well, it's probably also made by something else. So it's the same kind of an argument for them actually saying that only minds can only be as a part of biological systems in space and time as far as we know.
You can't just say, well, it could probably be something else. If there is a something else, then I'm
you talking about sciences all the time. Like, oh, it's probably something. Come on.
I want to say this though, that I'm going to stand by the knowledge known, and that now with knowledge available, with the facts available, rather than alternatives assumed to be the case. I'll leave it at that.
Gotcha. Thanks so much. Next up, Steven Steen, thanks for your super chat, who says Trump is the best president since Obama. Bringing your politics into here, Steven.
Did they pay for that? Did they pay for that one?
No, do you get it though? They said Trump's the best since Obama.
But that was a pay one though, right? They paid for that?
Super chat.
Super chat.
That's fine. Good. Okay. Thank you for paying.
Gotcha. Let's see. Stupid Horror Energy, thanks for your super chat. She says, irreducible complexity is refuted by co-option.
Anteco, go ahead. You can respond to that.
Well, the cell is irreducibly complex, so I would have to ask her, where did the components be co-opted from to get the first replicating cell?
Gotcha. Thanks so much. Moving quickly, I'm sorry, Wilson, thanks for your super chat. They said, how about those 50 billion jobs Trump created?
Okay.
Thank you very much for that, Phil. Stupid Horror Energy, thanks for your super chat. She said, question for True. Why aren't there any true wheels in large-scale biological organisms like elephants?
Any true wheels?
Yeah, I think she means like, wouldn't that be a nice design feature, and yet we don't see them or something? That's my guess.
There's gears that they find we find gears in insects, and I don't know how that's.
No, come on. I had a bunch of these lined up too. I'm like, why can't I just replace my heart with a different heart? Why do the tubes go into it and then have to go back out of it to oxygenate? That is crazy bad design. Like, that's why I wanted intelligence defined. An intelligent designer would go pipes go in top, then down out bottom.
Let me say this: a car. Bad design does not equate to not.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. If you want to go idiot design, then maybe idiot chaos god. Maybe
I have a Volvo, for example, with a battery that for some reason.
I knew you're going to do some kind of Kent Hovind example. That's so.
So it's a bad design.
Right, go on.
But it wasn't designed that does it.
Gotcha. Next up, thanks for your super chat from. Do I have to read this? Stupid Horror Energy says, I love my daddy James and there's nothing Steven Steen can do about it. Okay, next one. Thank you for that. Von Helton's Children. I don't get this one. This something about, can we get a shout out to Kentucky CPS? Is this some sort of like extremely dark joke? I have a feeling I just read someone's super dark joke. Chua View, thanks for your
real high pitched dog whistle there, my guy.
Oh, I do hear a whistle, actually. Do you guys hear it, too?
I was joking.
No, okay.
I guess like the... If it's a dog whistle, it's a dog whistle I've never heard.
Gotcha. I hear it again. Does anybody hear it? Phil, are you blowing a dog whistle? Okay, next up.
No, there's no way. I've been muting myself a lot.
So, thank you for your super chat. Chua View... Let me know if I've missaid that. I'm sorry if I did. Thank you for your super chat. They said, the point of a debate is not to change the person you're debating. It is to bring your case to the audiences. Refrain from anger and interrupting your opponent. Gotcha.
Whoops. Sorry, my bad.
Thank you for that. Stupid Horror Energy. Thanks for your super chat. She said, true, your premise is the same as the conclusion. I think she's arguing that true empiricism, that you were using some sort of circular reasoning. maybe.
Yeah, she's accusing it of begging the question fallacy, of what's called the question fallacy, and it doesn't. It's not the same at all. If you look at, for example, the way that William Lane Craig lays out his Kalam cosmological argument, it's premise one: everything that begins to exist has a cause. Premise two: the universe begins to exist, therefore the universe must have a cause. It's instead of you saying, well, X is true because, using some sort of circular reasoning, it's trying to utilize.
Universe may have always existed, and our universe may have
Can you
started
stop
existing.
interrupting me, please?
Well, but I'm just making a point because you're just this is I'm just tweaking your point a little bit, because that consensus is not a consensus either. The Big Bang Theory is like always changing and malleable for a reason, because it's real weird science. So I'm just making a point that the universe itself could exist a lot, and there could be other universes, but how would you know, right?
Okay, but here's from logicalfallacies.com. It's true. I mean, when there's a circular type of reasoning, then that is what you would consider begging the question fallacy. Claim X assumes X is true. And I like to use references like this because when I explain it, for some reason, when I try to help these people understand, it doesn't grasp their ears. But here it says, what is the exception? Some assumptions that are universally accepted could pass as not being fallacious. So premise one of my argument is that certain patterns in nature are best explained by an intelligent agent, or certain patterns in nature are only known to come from an intelligent agent. And so since I'm appealing to a universal truth or a universal fact, you can refute it as the fact, but it's not like saying claim X assumes X is true, therefore claim X is true. You get what I'm trying to say? The first premise is assuming a fact. And so from that fact, that universal fact, I try to deduce to a conclusion. And that's the difference between the two. I'm not. There's no circular reasoning at all attached to it. And so this is actually coming again from logicalfallacies.com. It explains where the exception lies, and in that exception is where I place my first premise.
I know, but it's not real scientific, right? It's not like real hard evidence either, right? It's like a real like flimsy, barely a thing excuse. And also, you didn't tell me of these makers of turbines, Nordex, Ming Yang, United Power. If he gets to repeat himself, I'm going to do my who made the turbine bit again, because like they're not like little tiny screws. Like almost every turbine has little screws. And also, at what point does a propeller become a turbine? I'll mute myself for that answer. Thank you.
Well, the reason why I repeat myself is because you haven't tackled the premises.
We have. TJump did that a bunch of times.
Well, he has tried.
I'm not talking for TJump. He did it a bunch of times. I'm defending him. He's already explained why your premises does. It's just pattern seeking, yada yada. We've done this a bunch. Do you have anything else? Like, do you have anything else? Like anything? Did you poke holes in his hands? Anything else? Call me Tommy.
Do I need anything else?
Tom and Doubting Tommy. I'm on it.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. We've got to jump into the next question. I appreciate your patience. It's been a wild one, folks. We're going to try to get to as many questions as we can. Grand Ultimate Villain, thanks for your super chat. We appreciate it. They said, what has intelligent design produced outside of rhetoric? What discoveries? What has been produced that's tangible from it?
Don't know the relevance of the question. We can say that intelligent design hasn't produced anything at all. It doesn't matter. The question is the argument valid? So I don't know. I mean, if you want to look at it from this perspective of like,
I think the argument he's making is like scientific theories can be used to do stuff, and like, so what discoveries has intelligent design made that have like made any scientific impact? I think that's the argument he's making.
I mean, what does it matter? Well, that's why I'm like, it doesn't matter if it does or doesn't. There's a lot of scientific theories that don't.
Why do you get to ask what does it matter when I ask what does it matter? I'm just being a jerk. Like,
we're here to talk about whether or not intelligent design is true. It could be true that intelligent design is true, but it just doesn't have a way to.
Right, and it could have been pixies that made the universe, and it could have been Yahweh. And where was Yahweh standing?
The truth is that there was a study of which.
Where was the intelligence standing when there was nothing?
Okay.
How does one define nothing?
Let me just put it like this: it's a red herring. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, cool. That's what Ken Hovind did a lot too.
It's actually relevant. So if you say you have there are lots of theories that do nothing, the point of a theory is to make it. You have to be able to differentiate it. Is it imaginary or is it real? And the way we do that is, well, can you use the theory?
What did I say at the start of this hangout, though? I said that I am specifically trying to make an argument, just the argument, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm standing in the pool of knowledge and I'm going to utilize that knowledge rather than making a scientific theory. And here's the reason why. Scientific theories are not synonymous with right or wrong. They can either be right or be wrong. What scientific theories do is they utilize facts to come to a conclusion, to come to a reasonable inductive conclusion. But there have been more theories in the past that have been incorrect and have been right, even though they've utilized the scientific method properly. And that's because, we all know Karl Popper, he opened up the door for falsifiability. It's more important to prove a theory wrong than correct. A theory is not equivalent to truth. It's just a way to try to understand something. And so because of that, what I was trying to do by open up here is that the arguments, because it's appealing to knowledge, is going to be a better explanation if you guys were to utilize an evolutionary.
You dodged the question entirely. What has intelligent design produced besides rhetoric? I'm sorry. He's obviously dancing around the question like we're shooting at his feet and it's Wild Western.
We've got to move to the next question.
I'm not at all.
When did they crack the genome? When did intelligent design crack the genome? Tell me that.
Well, actually, there was actually.
Let me adjust my glasses with that.
Let's give him a chance to respond.
Yeah, actually, I'm not going to be able to get into the specifics here, but I'll probably be doing an after show maybe. So.
I hope the after show is just not reading stuff.
Junk DNA was the expectation of junk DNA having certain functionality was credited to many of the scientists on the intelligent design side, Dembski and Doug Axe and so on, because they were suspecting, evolutionists suspected for a long time that there was going to be no function at all. We found out that a certain percentage actually does have it and was actually accredited to the ID proponent. And then there was a discovery made there, which evolution.
They literally said, because of intelligent design, we figured this out. I'm sorry.
Quick chance to respond.
Clarifying on his point. I apologize.
Just true empiricism. Then we got to go back to the questions to try to get through as many as possible. We're already over time.
I'm done. I mean, he keeps interrupting, so I can't get it.
They always do that when I'm just trying to clarify on the point.
Stupid Whore Energy, thanks for your super chat. She said, we observed machines coming from natural processes. 17 natural nuclear fission reactors operated in what is today known as Gabon in Western Africa. They are 2 billion years old. That's all she said.
I like that example. I was looking for proof on that before this, but I couldn't.
I answered that question earlier on. I think I'm repeating.
There's creatures that are billions of years old right now that we've discovered, and that doesn't matter.
What we're observing,
like alive right now.
Oh my God! Can you stop doing that, please? So what we're observing inside of the cell is a naturally occurring object. The topic of tonight's debate is to question that object to see what the best explanation is for it.
Do dinosaurs live with man?
Go ahead.
Why are you asking me that question?
We'll do that debate another day, but go ahead and finish true empiricism, then we'll get to another question.
I don't even remember what I was going to say. So,
gotcha. Okay, sorry about that. It's been a while.
That's not a tactic. If he knew what he was talking about, he'd be able to talk it really fast.
We appreciate your super chat from SOL, who said, "He debates." I responded. I think I said something like, "Hi SOL, glad you're here." They said, "I said thanks for stopping by." They super chatted, "No problem," and I said, haha, thanks. And they super chatted back, "You're welcome." This made me laugh. And I said, "Appreciate it." They said, "Don't mention it." So anyway, I just thought it was funny. Okay. You had to be there. Okay, next up, Stupid Whore Energy, thanks for your super chat. Very sassy tonight. She says, P-type ATP synthase is a much simpler form of the F and way simpler than the V-type synthase. True empiricism. Or Otangelo?
I don't know.
Say it again. I don't know how they do the VATPAs. I'm familiar with that, but I don't know how she defines simplicity. How do we define which one is simpler than the other? And it wouldn't matter anyways, because I don't care about simplicity or complexity. I care about the causal linkage to an effect. If I have an object that I know has come from a creator, that I can use that to say there is a creator, because I can say creation indicates a creator. If there's just something else, I need to know what she's trying to say. Okay, it's more simple because why? Because it's got less parts in it, because it's got a different job. I mean, I don't know, but she's got to be more specific in her questions.
Gotcha.
He's working with James to get
through.
more money out of you,
Move
stupid
through.
whore energy. Don't fall for it.
To
I'm just
move
kidding.
through quickly. Thanks for your super chat. Philip Sirvenhuck. Forgive me if I've said that wrong. I'm seriously sorry. I know I screwed it up.
I'm sorry.
But let me know if I did. Philip, thanks for your super chat. They said, do the Christians know that evolution by natural selection is not a random process? I just wanted to clear that up.
It's a gradual, unintended process.
Gotcha.
So it's direct, polar opposite.
We know that mutations are random, but natural selection is not. So,
gotcha. Thank you very much. We'll move to the next question.
Thank you.
Next, thanks for your super chat from Dear Jay Shy. Glad to see you. By the way, Jay Shy, want to let you know, folks, if you see Jay Shy in the live chat, feel free to say thanks, because I was like, who are we going to have? So this Sunday, we're having Aaron Ra debate a creationist. So this is part of the lineup for the in-person debate that we're stoked about. It's going to be terrific, you guys. It's going to be off the charts.
Terrific.
But, by the way, Jay Shy helped us find the opponent for Aaron Ra, Dr. Mick Leroy. So that's going to be an epic one, and we want to say thanks so much. That, honestly, to be honest, like, you have no idea how much that helps. Like, sometimes I'm just, like, getting so little sleep, and I'm trying to, like, juggle a trillion things, and so thanks so much for helping us find that speaker. Next, they said, Jay Shai says, the only problem I have with ID is the rejection of some scientific explanations, implying if it's empirical, God must not have had no... Oh, okay, so they're saying... Let me read this over, because now I see where the comma is. They said, the only problem I have with ID is the rejection of some scientific explanations, implying if it's empirical, then God must not have had a part in it. Do you get that question?
I think I might. Well, let me put it like this. A lot of people don't realize this, but there are actually some ID scientists who accept evolutionary theory, but they're skeptical about its creative ability. I think that's where ID comes in. My issue is that if you think that evolution can do it, actually has a comparable creative ability as intelligent design, then why conflate the other? Why is one needed over the other? And so I don't accept evolutionary theory because of looking into it and doing the research and seeing the debate. It just doesn't. I don't know why you would want to support something that just is lacking. So I mean, I think
that's one little tiny thing that you pointed out is. I'm sorry.
Let's let him finish, and I will try to get a question for you guys, I promise. I know that they've been sparse, and I'm sorry about that. Okay. Were you done, True Empiricism? You can keep going if you'd like to.
Well, I'm trying to untangle. I know I'm hogging the mic, man. If you want to jump in anytime.
Well, usually evolution is how can I say? It is pointed out why it doesn't work, but you see rarely arguments that demonstrate what actually replaces evolution as a mechanism to build complex organisms. And I have studied this subject for considerable time, and I have come to understand that the real mechanisms are pre-programmed information and signaling networks, and that is based on genetic and epigenetic information. So that is elucidated by systems biology, and actually far more complex than just mutations and natural selection and drift and gene flow.
Gotcha. Thanks so much. Appreciate your super chat from James Anderson, who asked, why are the Christians afraid to show their faces? Oh, snap.
They ain't that pretty.
What do you guys think of that? Are you afraid to show your faces?
They're just intimidated by your face. You're like the prettiest
I
Chris in
tried
here.
to
So.
set up my camera tonight, but the picture
Go to
was
my-
so bad that I said, well, I won't do it. I will buy another cam for another chat next
And
time.
you expect me to believe you?
Sure. Okay. Well, that's okay. Don't worry. You don't have to show your face. We like it's always kind of like I get usually it's about like one a day a person now, which I always love it because it's like we're happy to have new people on. If you want to come on and debate, you don't have to have a camera, but it is nice because I think the audience likes to see your beautiful face. Look at Tom's face. Don't you just want to squeeze his little cheeks? Look at those little cheeks there, like happy little cheeks. Okay, well, so next up, thanks for your Phil is reaching out for Tom's cheeks. If you didn't see that, thanks for your super chat. Stupid whore energy. Oh gosh. Okay, she says James is my daddy. Steven Steen's response is James is her daddy. Okay, that's so weird. Stupid whore energy. Thanks for your super chat. She says. True empiricism, can you explain the inner solipsism of solipsism?
No, I pass.
Gotcha. Thanks for your super chat from Sohan D'Souza. Let me know if I've mispronounced. Always trying to get it right. Sohan says, what does something not designed by a creator look like? Just so I have something to compare. You know, kind of like a standard.
Nothing is not created by a creator.
Man, this watch full of watches. All of them are watches. Every watch is another watch. They're all watches. Sorry, there's another analogy for that. It's all watches.
I mean, it's not
All
hard.
watches.
I mean, it's not hard at all. I mean, if you're going to look at something that is design, object that is, let me use this as an example. Here's a good thing. The brain is typically analogized to a computer because of the synapses, how the peripheral nervous system shoots electrical signals through the central nervous system. But it's not. It's analogous, but it's not the same thing as intelligent design because intelligent design is trying to argue for specific patterns, an object that we know come from an intelligence. But with a brain, we have never. It's not that. It's just analogous to it. There's no random access memory, no CPU, no motherboard. And so that's something that we can say might be analogous to design, but it's not. It's not design. It's not an intelligent design argument. It's not an object that we can point to that has a causal linkage. So that's something that we can say. Well, that's not a design argument. So, hopefully that answered the question.
You can make a simple comparison between bricks, which are just laid randomly and chaotically on the floor. And then behind you have a wall, which is structured as a wall, precisely built up as a wall. And then you have a nice contrast between something that is chaotic and doesn't need intelligence and a wall which needs intelligent design to build it.
Yeah, I mean, we can tell the difference between chaos and order as well. That might have been the question that they were asking. I mean, you can't tell the difference between a house built and the tornado throwing sticks all over the place and having just chaos. I mean, obviously, I don't know why we would even ask the question, to be honest.
Gotcha. Thanks for your super chat from our dearest friend, Stupid Whore Energy. She says, true empiricism, do you still believe in the ridiculous idea that water degrades DNA?
The ridiculous idea that water degrades DNA. Yes, I do.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Next up for you, thanks for your super chat, Dwayne Burke. Glad to see ya. Thanks for all your support of the channel, by the way. I see you all the time. He says, thanks for the debate and debaters. See you Saturday. Are you going to be there in Dallas or in Austin, Dwayne? Because we're pumped. So, by the way, folks, if you're not in person, no problemo. It will be live streamed. So I am pumped. It's like that, all the places I've looked for, I'm like, do you have really good internet? And they're like, I don't know, maybe. And I'm like, sorry, won't work. We're not going with you because we need it to have good internet. So it's essential. So, okay. Thanks so much. Next up.
I'm really happy for you, by the way. It's really cool that it worked out because their studio is great. I watch those guys all the time.
It is, honestly, when they were telling me the equipment that they have on hand, I was like, wow, this is like, they're being really kind to us. So we really appreciate that. The atheist experiences, we were like, kind of like last minute, like, oh no, where are we going to go? So they have helped us out. And thanks so much for your super chat, Brad Iverson, who said, yay, RN Raw on Sunday. Can't wait. Me too. That's going to be an epic one. It's going to be there in Dallas. So Stupid Horror Energy, thanks for your super chat. She said, if ID were false, would you lose your hope, meaning, and purpose? You can answer. It's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking through my phone. I'm sorry. Did you ask me a question?
Yeah. Okay.
Are you not taking this serial?
No,
I was
it's
going to
like
ask that question. That was a question I wanted to ask. But yeah, I agree.
I didn't
No,
hear it. I'm sorry.
I have purpose.
Totally, it's not a problem.
Say it again.
Okay, here we go. She said, if ID were false, would you lose your hope, meaning, and purpose?
No. Why? These are kind of some ridiculous questions. Obviously not.
Gotcha. Thanks so much. Next up, Brian Stevens saw your question. We don't have a mixer or a stream deck or a Golixer, if I said that right. I actually just to let peeps know. First, when I started this channel, well, we it's all a family. When we started this channel, I was like kind of like asking around, and I like kind of try to figure out like how are other shows doing this? Because it was like they had Google Hangouts, and then only a few people were using OBS, like even just 2 years ago, and so we try to like tell all this the secrets. What I do is I pull up a soundboard just from Realm of Darkness, the website, like the old school website that used to like do Arnold Schwarzenegger prank phone calls with. I pull up that website, and then on OBS I just select. I use the desktop audio, so it'll play both my Zoom audio and it captures the soundboard audio as well, and that's why you hear the soundboard. So nothing fancy at all. By the way, all of our tech, I put it in there today. Our description list has all of our hardware and software that we use for this show currently listed in the description, because we don't want to keep secrets. I want to give you a heads up. We do get these are affiliate links, so we get like a 3%, commission. Is that what you say? That Amazon gives us if you use our links. But if you don't want to use our links, that's fine. It's a free country. We want to have the information there for you to use for free. You don't have to use the links, and I mean, it wouldn't cost you anything even if you did. But what you can do is just copy and paste the names of the items from our list and just search on Amazon elsewhere. And that way, if you really don't want us to get the 3%, that's okay. We're not entitled to anything. So all those stuff that we use, though, is down there, and it's really not fancy. So thanks for your super chat. Cody Davis, we appreciate it. They said, do we see new intelligent designs created today?
Tangle, did you want to get that?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Wait a minute.
Obviously, if we're talking about innovation, we're seeing intelligent designers create things all the time. But these questions, they're very off base, I have to say. So long as any new discoveries that we're finding inside of nature have a property that we can connect to a designer, that I'd say that there is, and we are finding things out in the cell all the time. So I mean, I think that they found that there was another code on top of DNA as well that helps direct it more efficiently. So I think that would also be synonymous with the ID argument. So I mean, yeah, we find them all the time.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. And appreciate it, folks. It's been a total blast with you tonight. Always fun. Want to say thanks to our speakers. The debaters, they're the lifeblood of the channel. So, folks, their links are in the description. Want to let you know how much we appreciate them. And also, we got one more super chat just came in. Jay Shy, thanks for your super chat. They said, true empiricism. Do you accept common descent like Michael Behe? If not, how do you explain the same ERVS and mutations in the same spots? Is ERVS an acronym or some sort of abbreviation?
Endogenous retroviruses.
Oh.
No, Yeah, I don't support the same ideas as Michael Behan. Actually, Michael Behan, his last video that he produced over on, I think it's on the Discovery YouTube channel, he elaborates further on it. He basically accepts evolution, common sense for the sake of argument, so that he can get into the nitty gritty of the design argument. And so I don't even think that he accepts a common assent either. But no, I don't accept that.
I did ask Michael B. in Sao Paulo, in Brazil, when he came down here, and he was very evasive to answer my question. And he said that it's not his focus. So I didn't see much firmness in his response in regards of that issue.
Right. Yeah. So you know why though? Because if you listen to what he was saying, I think he's got a point. I think that when he's dealing with, I think he deals with a lot of very secular-minded scientists, and he wants to make sure that he's not being that when he's talking about this stuff, that he's not being distracted over red herrings. He wants to get right into the idea argument, and that's I'm only assuming that's probably what it is, just based on what I've heard from him. But I personally don't think that he accepts a common dissent.
Gotcha. Okay, one last thing from the chat.
I've only one more question.
Let's see. Philip Siervinak. Let me know if I said it wrong. They said, can we have a Phil Bunny versus Duncan atheism debate? Oh, that would be exciting now, wouldn't it? That would be a
down
wild
for
one.
Crazy. I am down for all the drag out crazy. I'm down for it.
That would be a wild one.
That is. Well, oh wait, yes, I do. Yeah, I'm down for that.
Formerly Darth Dawkins. But
yeah, I was real frustrated when I watched him before. So yeah, I would do that.
Yeah, I truly don't know how he got that name, but that's an interesting, isn't it? Well, all right. So, with that, I want to say thanks everybody for being here. It was a total blast. It's always fun. We really appreciate it. Dards Duder, I saw your question. The sounds are coming from the soundboard that we use now. It's so fun. Honestly, it's just terrific. So, I honestly love it. It's so fun. But you guys, I honestly hate saying goodbye because I just love this. This is seriously so fun that I don't want to say goodbye, but we have to. But don't worry.
I'll be back.
We will have another show for sure this Wednesday. So we'll be back then. We hope to see you then. That will be, we're kind of negotiating it out on what exactly it'll be, but it's going to be a lot of fun. But let me know, my hope is are there topics that people would love to know, where you're like, hey, I would love this. Would you do this debate topic? Or I want this opponent. And if it's somebody who I've never heard of, we could try our best to track them down. I've got 2 people helping me track people down now, which is super helpful. I really appreciate them. And so it's we're looking to broaden our horizons, try new things. We are excited about future events coming up, and you can tell I'm stalling. I just love being here with you guys. So anyway, speakers, thanks again for being here. Any last goodbyes from you guys?
No, I mean, it was a great discussion. I enjoyed everybody's energies. Hopefully, people who were watching, they got something out of it. But yeah, thanks for setting this up.
Wait, last thing. Thank you. Appreciate it. Did anybody else have anything to say?
No, thank you. This was really fun.
Yeah, thank you for being with you guys, and it was fun. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you guys. And want to let you know, doesn't true empiricism just a little bit, his voice and his accent, does he sound a little bit like Wotan? True empiricism. If you've heard of Wotan, if you've heard him, don't take offense. He's a wild one. He's got a lot of energy, but likable guy. So, are you from the Northeast?
I'm from Chicago.
No, you're not. Come on.
No, it is not true.
I can hear it when he says Chicago.
I don't know. I totally hear a Northeast accent.
What would I lie to you?
Multicultural background too, so it might be what it is.
Okay, because I feel
it's weird how languages and dialects evolve, right?
Okay. Well, I love Wotan's accent, so, but I love yours too. I love everybody. So stoked to have you here. Thanks for being here, everybody. Whether you're a Christian, atheist, Republican, Democrat, or one of the many strange creatures in between, we appreciate you spending time with us. We hope you feel welcome, and we'll see you next time.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.